third thing here, actually I was going to write a letter to the town board and I decided not to, so, but I've all got it written out what I was going to send. And so probably if I just read this next part out of the letter, it'd be the most logical or whatever. Back, maybe 6 weeks ago now, Darrick had called me, and he had called the Pollution Control Agency about the waste, the human waste over at David Hughes's. And I don't know, Darrick being on the board, I don't know if there was discussion at a town board meeting, at some time or another, but, so anyway, Darrick contacted the Pollution Control Agency, and they answered him back on his cell phone, and then he sent that to me as an email. This is what Darrick got back from the Pollution Control Agency. An inspector who discovers the existence of a straight pipe system shall issue a non-compliant notice to the owner of the straight pipe system and forward a copy of the notice to the agency. The notice must state that the owner must replace or discontinue the use of the straight pipe system within 10 months of receiving the notice. If the owner does not replace or discontinue use of the straight pipe system within 10 months after the notice was received, the owner of the straight pipe system shall be subject to administrative penalty of $500 per month of non-compliance beyond a 10-month period. Administrative penalty orders may be issued for violations under the subdivision as provided in section 116.072. 1/2 of the proceeds collected from an administrative penalty order issued for violating this subdivision shall be remitted to the local unit of government with jurisdiction over the non-compliant straight pipe system. Once you have an inspection form identifying the system is a straight pipe system, and the Township NON stands for a notice of non-compliance. You can copy your MPCA regional staff and they'll take it from there, or you can copy me directly if you want to.
I don't know.
Unwinding the kind of the gobbledygook, in about 2007, the PCA set up another set of rules in addition to our sewer code. It's called the straight pipe rules. And going way back, a lot of people around Minnesota had septic tanks that then had a straight pipe that went into a river. People, especially that lived along rivers, was the original source of the problem. So the partially digested stuff in septic tanks was going into rivers, which is what gave the program its name as a straight pipe system. Apparently what Darrick, I'm coming into this from the outside only knowing what the letter says. Apparently whoever, I have the name of the person here, Darrick talked to, identified Hughes' situation as a straight pipe system. Basically, what needs to be done is to send our inspector, Denny Schlumka, over there to do what's called a compliance inspection. And if what's going on is compliant.
What do you call a straight line?
What's that?
What do you call a straight line, a straight pipe system?
Straight pipe system is one that used to have this septic system go into a river or a stream, which doesn't apply to David Hughes property, but that's what it is.
Yeah.
Well, that's what the PCA called it, so I'm on the outside of this phone call. I'm not.
System.
It's a phone
So
call.
are you saying Darrick called him and you don't know what the conversation was
I
about?
just know what was handed to me. I was not part of the conversation.
But Darrick shouldn't be calling them, you should be the one dealing with them guys, right?
Well, that's why then I took it over, because it's kind of, like when they mentioned a
You got
non.
the cart ahead of the horse.
Well, for example, the PCA talked about a non, N-O-N. Darrick had no clue what that meant. me being trained in the pollution control stuff, and NON is a term that stands for notice of non-compliance. As soon as I see non, I know right away what it means, because that's part of what I do and what I've done. Derrick didn't have a clue what a non was, not to detrimental, so.
And I don't have a clue why you call them.
So anyway, because we're getting complaints, I can answer that, because we're getting complaints about open sewage around at David Hughes' place, that's why. So,
I live by them, I know about it, but I ain't gonna turn you loose
well, we're
on
not
it
talking
no
to
more.
you right now, Todd, I'm
No,
trying
I
to do
know.
my report and you're interrupting it.
Yup.
You know, let
Straight
me at
pipe.
least get the original thing out of my mouth, so we
Straight
can,
pipe, we left off
you know,
the
have the story that's going on here.
creeks.
Stop.
So, anyway, I would say it's a fairly safe assumption that David Hughes isn't gonna let Denny Schlunk on his property without something out of the court system, you know, that would, you know, let him on the property.
He
So,
doesn't have no right. Yeah.
No, I wouldn't let them.
so anyway, so I called Curry and Rupee about, you know, what it would take to get what's called an administrative search warrant for Denny Schlunk to go on there. What the PCA is saying,
Why don't you guys stay off people's property?
Would you be quiet?
Why don't you stay off our fucking property?
because it's open sewage in the town site, that's why,
Is there open sewage there upstairs?
from the
There's not
RVs.
open sewage there, he's got a mound system.
He has a separate property, that doesn't count. The sewer system he has on the south parcel doesn't count for the RVs that are on the north parcel.
You're talking about the stuff that you left there?
No.
There's
So
no
anyway,
septic there.
please, could you
Stop, no,
Well, I
please.
just tried
stop
to-
people from interrupting?
Talk.
Well, we know what we're doing, so I'm trying to do my report here, and we're right back to the same old thing. You know, you're interrupting.
Well,
So,
this will be out of there
anyway,
in another year.
so the Pollution Control Agency, if I can keep talking, please.
We're good.
So the Pollution Control Agency, what they're saying is, if we send Denny Schlumka on the property to do an inspection, and it fails the inspection, then it would be up to me to send a letter to David Hughes, which would be this a notice of non-compliance. And then, if I would turn that over to the Pollution Control Agency, that they would take it from there. There would be nothing, no further burden, action, cost, involvement by the township under the straight pipe rule. The Pollution Control Agency will handle that on their own if we hand to them the results of a compliance inspection and a letter to Hughes confirming there's non-compliant, which is a step that we don't even know until Denny does the inspection if it's compliant or not. I'm not saying it's non-compliant, I'm saying I don't know. That's the point of sending Denny there, to find out if it is or is not, one step at a
Is
time.
this because of the people in the RVs though?
You know, I mean, this stuff gets silly.
No, that's what I'm saying. I mean, that's the
So-
only reason
so
I'm speaking up.
anyway-
Yeah, it is silly.
The only thing I would add to that then, for your consideration, is, you know, the first time I talked to Curry and Rupee,
Some problem.
he was very, strongly against doing anything,
That's what I'm saying.
because of the history, and, you know, you can probably fill in the blank.
When does it go tax forfeiture?
So, I'm talking,
Well, come on, why don't you put it all together?
why don't you hush your mouth?
Just be quiet, please.
When do
So
you guys
can
get to
talk.
buy his property for $1?
So is Bob.
See, now they're off on the, would you just kick them out?
Would you be quiet? That's enough. I've had
Please.
enough. Now just
I have to.
I mean, it's
go
enough.
out,
It's
now,
enough.
now.
Well,
Yes,
he's still
it
going
is
after the guy
enough.
more and more.
You just keep talking, you don't talk until you're called upon. Shut your mouth until you're called upon.
I don't appreciate
No,
you.
Yeah,
no,
no,
it doesn't work that way.
I don't appreciate you either. Out, right now, now.
But he's over here
No,
yelling at
you
me.
go.
I'm not doing nothing. I'm not listening.
Yes, you
No,
are,
you're
you're
not.
disrupting
You're
the
shutting
meeting. I
your
can't
mouth.
talk because
Shut
blah,
your
blah, this and that, and the property for $1. What does that have to do with it?
But you said
Nothing
Curry said to leave it
whatsoever.
alone.
Shut your mouth and leave.
You said Curry said to leave it alone.
Yeah.
Quiet.
that's what we need.
Todd, that's enough.
That's logical.
Quiet. One more word from you and you're going. I mean
You
it.
said that 3 times now.
No.
man.
Yeah.
Brewster, honestly,
That's it, out,
I'm just
out.
trying, I'm
No,
trying.
you get out, right now, out.
This fucking dickhead.
No,
Go
I'm trying,
out.
I really am.
You be quiet, now get out.
I'm gonna be quiet, but.
No, you are not.
He's gotta
You
quit talking.
You be quiet and get out, right now. I'm tired of listening to you.
I'll leave.
Man,
Not
you
me.
Call the sheriff.
need to smoke or something.
There we go.
Marrow in the lung.
But that's what it takes. You know, and the sheriff did say that he is not tired of taking care of people, that if we need some help, we can call them anytime.
Well, you've done it every time I've been here, so keep
Well,
on doing
then,
it.
maybe you need to shut up.
I haven't said a word.
Oh, really?
You're the one yelling.
Yeah.
When
Would you be
the
quiet?
town board is in charge of this building, the town board asks you to leave, if you refuse to leave, that's trespassing. Right now, you're guilty of trespassing for not leaving on behalf of the town board telling you to leave. The town board is control of the building, they told you to leave. If you go into McDonald's and the owner of the McDonald's tells you to leave for disruptive behavior,
turning
you
purple.
don't leave, you're trespassing in that McDonald's.
turning purple.
You are trespassing in this building right
That's
now.
private
This
property.
building's owned by the public, not by you.
No, the town board sets the
No.
policy.
And
We
you know,
went through this.
we are here, the
You
reason
wrote
we
the
came
policy.
here-
Hey.
The reason that we
You
are
have the
here
right
is
to
so
be
we
here
could
and to
discuss
listen and
this
to
stuff.
watch, but you don't have the right to open your
He
mouth.
wrote the
No,
policy.
that's,
called.
no, that's not right, Bob.
It is right.
And you know what, before we
Hey,
go after
that's
David
enough.
Hughes and his sewer, why don't you get your own outhouse under compliance before you start going after the citizens of this town?
Once
How about
again,
trying that one?
How about cleaning
You know,
up
you
your
go after
yard?
Claudia, you go after me, you go after David Hughes, and you have a non-compliant outhouse sitting right in your backyard.
How do you know?
it's still being used.
How do you know it's not compliant? Have you
Have you been over there? Have you been over there before you started,
It's
you
not
know,
on
No,
property here.
it's,
Have you
we're
been
trying
over
to
there?
find somebody to get rid of.
there's damn trees growing through the thing? What do you
We're
mean?
trying to get.
What part of that's
Would
compliance?
you shut up? You don't want me to hear talk to you. I said, we're trying to find somebody, would you be quiet?
Yeah, they
We're
are.
trying to find somebody to get rid of it. And as far as the Claudia's toilet, they're getting rid of it because they thought they needed to have it in order to keep their cattle.
After you drug her into court and everything else.
Well, it was a misunderstanding. They thought
Misunderstanding, yeah.
on their part. They thought they had to have it and they kept fighting for it. And once they found out, they
Well,
don't
you just
have to
leave
have it.
people alone. Try that one for once.
Because.
The same
you know why?
people.
Because people complain about the things that go wrong.
Derrick Sweats.
Why do you think- why do you think-
Non-resident, is complaining.
Where's the complaints? I mean, that
Derrick
you're
Sweats
talking
is
about.
complaining.
Right there.
That's why there are ordinances, because people make complaints, and when we have ordinances, people come to the meetings, and you know what? They say, good, I'm glad you did that, and they vote in favor of having
Well,
these
we're saying
ordinances.
good.
Well, it hasn't been that way since I've been here, but, you know, I'm sure
Well,
you've
how
had
many
some
times have
wins
you been
in the
there?
past.
How many years have you been
Can we
here?
get on with the meeting, can we kick them out or not, and just call the sheriff or not? You know, we keep
gotta
doing
get
it,
them on.
meetings still keep taking 4 hours to do a simple meeting. You know, this goes on forever, Jim.
Yes, go ahead, go ahead.
And corrupt. You guys are so freaking corrupt.
You know,
You're right.
That's enough for you.
Oh, yeah, they really are.
That's enough for you.
You're still on.
You know, 312, 629, 8388.
We should have noticed the last meeting, I did not appreciate you one bit
Shut the
either.
fuck up.
That's enough. You're next.
I will be.
Yeah, that's it.
Are you coming by helicopter?
There we go.
Long as everything's quiet, I'd like to say something. David's been working on his yard. It looked pretty good today when I drove by.
Well, good.
I don't know.
Huh?
Hi, this is Bob Brewster.
Doesn't it, Tracy?
Hello, can you hear me?
We're outside. Better connection.
Can you hear me now?
I did move trailers around, but.
Huh?
Did you move trailers around?
Just a second, I gotta move to a different spot here. Can you hear me now? Okay, this is Bob Brewster, Brewster. I'm the zoning administrator for Arna Township out at Markville. We're having another problem with the town board meeting, where we've asked people to leave the meeting, they're disrupting the meeting. Your deputies, Sheriff Wright and Jeff Nelson know about, sending a deputy out. Can you hear me now? How about now? Okay, we'll try again. We have Sheriff Nelson and Chief Deputy Wright privy to the situation out here. We have people disrupting meetings. We need the assistance of a deputy to serve as a sergeant of arms to remove disruptive people from the town hall. Because we can't hold our town board meeting, then call it with behalf of the town board. Are you there?
Well, it's getting great.
Yeah, we're gonna need more than one person too.
So I wouldn't.
That right there.
Okay, well, send whatever you can. One guy is twice resisted arrest, and refuses to leave the building.
More than that, who resisted arrest?
Do whatever you can do, but, the point's made.
But I don't know.
Okay.
You should show this one. Bob
Why
Brewster
would we
blowjob
talk
thing.
about that?
Nah.
320, Cheryl, what's your phone number?
Oh, 612
This guy turns
612
it into a 911 incident.
7 what?
49
749 2041. 612
He's getting game ready.
749
749
2041
2041.
Oh my God.
2041.
This is.
612. Do you have the 612? Yes, yes. No, but it could be. Not yet. Thank you.
Did you see that video? Hey, got it on your phone?
I got it on my phone right
Good,
now.
give him your phone.
Yeah, you got it.
You're gonna like this. You can hold it. Grace, you can steal your phone.
I know where you can get a tractor.
So, picking up where I left off,
Because Claudia said
was
they were not hers, and then Curry filled in, the guy who came in later. The judge got her to admit that the whole line of
Turn
stuff
that down,
was hers.
please.
what?
And when he had the, off the record, the court recorder was set up, and the person that came.
So, anyway,
The person wasn't even in the room.
you want to turn that off?
There's no record.
Or at least take it outside.
Hey,
He's taking a
do
phone
it
call.
outside.
Oh, sorry. Here, I'll send it to me.
Give the judge a blowjob. That's what you're saying on here. You see the
Broadcast if you
website?
want to.
Good.
Um,
Don't worry.
Subs on the website.
So anyway, so what I had
Look at the
written
videos.
was, in regard to Derrick contacting the Minnesota PCA regarding raw sewage and David Hughes property. PCA told Derrick after a compliance inspection by Denny Schlenka, this is already said. Okay, being obvious to me that Hughes will never allow the SST and pest inspector on his property without a court order, I contacted Curry Rupee about what he needed for his court order. Mr. Curry thinks that probably he could get an order fairly easily, but doubts that the PCA will end up doing anything about it. Apparently, the PCA is notorious around Minnesota for doing nothing. Hughes' situation is called by the PCA an imminent threat to health and safety, but the PCA, although it's called in words an imminent threat to health and safety, a violator has 10 months. So even, does that sound like an imminent threat to health and safety? It's so imminent, so threatening that you have 10 months to solve it. Okay, that's what the state law is on that. Okay, so even if the PCA got involved, then he used it at 10 months before they would get, okay. So then if David didn't solve it after 10 months, then it would start the period of going to court. So then the PCA would go to court and take testimony. And then how long would a court case take? Another year? So,
In other words, we might as well just forget it, and let everybody. let it run
Well, there'll be
everybody
tax
else.
forfeiture before all that, from what's happened. It's only got about a year left, don't it?
Taxes.
Well, you guys put that 40 grand on his, taxes.
What is it?
I think he's got 1 year left.
How much, do you have any idea of how much time there is left on his tax bill for David?
And that's something you guys should take off his taxes too.
The $40,000 they put on it.
Yeah.
4
He's
years.
up to date on his taxes.
So how many years has it been since you started, since you put it on there?
One, it's 5 years.
So he's got 3 years
Got
left.
4 to go.
Well,
Might as well bury him.
they already did.
I know.
They don't let up either.
So,
They already buried the
I
guy.
would report back to the board,
Felonies
you
coming
know, the
out.
research on that is pretty much a pointless thing to go after, unfortunately. You know, the problem is, you know, raw sewage in the town site, so,
But his,
okay, next item here is the, I drove around the other day. Did you ever,
Did you swing by my place the other day?
He's raising his hand.
Little motherfucker.
I got a quick, just a quick question. David Hughes' trailer house has a holding tank, right? Or a leach field?
He has
He has a leach field on that trailer, right?
Yes.
Where's the raw sewage? I don't get that.
There is none.
You're talking about the RVs.
They got holding tanks.
The people on the back of the property is what the problem with the pollution is, right? No.
I don't know where it's coming
It's
from.
not a
I mean,
problem.
But he has a
Where's the raw
sewage system
sewage?
there.
Where the
Huh?
raw sewage is, do you know?
did you want me to go through the whole thing? that
Like,
they-
just beginning,
Yeah.
just where
Well, Dave will be here,
is supposed to be
son.
raw
Tell him.
Well, we
sewage?
don't know yet. There's two potential things,
People are complaining about smelling raw sewage, and
and
that's,
that would be part of
And
the.
that's-
I'm pretty close house
You
now.
live south of,
The wind's been blowing north for a
no,
while.
I run south all the time.
I smell fire.
Well, it's not just the
campfire.
smelling of it, there's the groundwater to consider,
Yeah.
there's,
So Derrick called him
You
before he
guys
left
are the
town.
biggest,
Well, what I don't understand is how do you know it's a straight pipe system to begin with? And where's the raw sewage going? Cause I never seen none. I drive by there all the time.
well, it doesn't matter whether you've seen it or not, the point is.
Where are they looking for the raw sewage though?
people have
Well, you keep
complained,
saying raw sewage, where's it at?
people have complained that there had a hole dug.
Well, let's see the
over-
complaints at least.
Yeah.
Well, how about the complaints you ain't gonna keep complaining
I want to see
about?
the physical complaint
Complaint forms.
paperwork. Show us the paperwork.
That's not the only way to get a complaint to the town.
What do you
Well, that's all
mean?
we
You
did.
gotta request, you gotta send in a
Those are
complaint.
complaints for the planning.
I send in-
Not
I know some
complaints.
place, they something you dreamt up.
You can get on the agenda, you can do
Can I say
anything.
something?
I send in a complaint.
Oh, no, she's the chairman, not me.
May I say
I don't have
something?
anything to say about it, Connie.
Okay. All I'm hearing is a bunch of arguing about Mr. Hughes's house and et cetera, and the letter being read. And after you presented all the information about what the PCA and all that, what the process would be, et cetera, did you just say, well, you know, he's got 10 months to do this, and we have to do court, wait, let me just finish. And then one of you said, well, we may as well not even pursue it.
The
Is that what?
the
I'm-
PCA said he would have 10 months to
Okay,
fix it.
but at the very
I'm the
end,
zoning administrator, I don't have a vote here.
okay, at the very end, somebody said, well, after all that, we may as well not even bother pursuing it.
I believe that was Jan.
Yeah, because what, you know, if the
She's the town
PCA,
chairman.
the PCA was going to pursue it, if they found that there was anything wrong, then the PCA would pursue it.
Right, okay, but what
But
I'm
as long
asking
as-
is, after getting all this information and investigating on his property and,
No, we haven't been on this property.
No investigation,
Yeah.
there's no
Just
written
no
complaint or
investigation.
anything.
okay, but this all came up and people are upset by who's in whose business, and I understand that. But after all this information is gathered and all these comments have been made, the last thing that got said by you folks was, well, we may as well not even pursue it. And yet you're adamant that there's raw sewage and it's a detriment to the health and the water tables, et cetera. And yet, now you don't wanna pursue it for the rest of the community?
The only way it can be pursued is if we get a court order to have it inspected, and then the PCA would take over.
Okay, but are you gonna get a court order?
But then, for the PCA to do a thing, so they would have 10 months to correct it.
Okay,
So
will you
in
be
that 10
getting,
months,
will you be getting a court order?
I don't think so. I
And
don't
why
think-
is that?
what would be accomplished?
Well, apparently this sewage problem or straight line septic system is a detriment to the health, and there's complaints of smell and pollution. And this is why it got brought up and we were all talking and listening about it, but yet you
And the
said,
only way to
why-
get an inspection is to get a court order.
and why
then
wouldn't you
every-
get a court
And
order?
everybody complains about, we're spending too much money on all these court orders, and it is everybody else's
Well, you're
business.
spending our money.
Well, just a second. But all I'm saying is,
I understand.
I'm
I
just,
see what
I'm
you're
just
saying.
looking
It
for an
is-
answer. This apparently is a big problem in the little town here. And yet, you're not gonna start the first step to pursue fixing it.
Well, you know how long it takes to get a court order.
Well, you gotta start somewhere. If it's a problem, you better pursue it. I mean, obviously, it's important enough to discuss
Your
at
guys
length.
have
They
been
gave me
dead.
that luxury.
Oh, I'm just
No.
trying to pick out one thing.
And I don't know, I've never seen anything, and I don't know of anybody that has actually seen anything. Do you know if anybody's actually,
Well,
I was
the
just there
whole,
today,
the whole,
there's no problem, sir, he has a mound system.
it doesn't, well, first of all, David doesn't have a mound system.
He has a septic system.
His system was built in 1975 before there were any PC,
1975.
or 1995, excuse me. You know, there's no records on it, it's an older system, there's no mound to it. Nobody knows what the size of the drain field is. It's made, you know, the drain field is sized depending on how many bedrooms are in a house. First of all, the RVs on the ordinance says every parcel, there's two parcels, there's the south parcel and the north parcel. Each parcel needs to have a sewer system. The north parcel doesn't have any sewer system. There's also our zoning code, which is you can have an RV and occupy an RV for weekends, but 24/7, 365-day residential homestead type occupancy of an RV is not allowed because it's substandard housing. So that's what you have going on
People
there.
on the streets.
The problem with, you know, and this is my opinion, okay, if I just throw in one more thing, and I wanna, you know, be very, very clear, this is not a fact, this is Bob Brewster's personal opinion, if I'm allowed to have an opinion. So I'm not speaking for the town board on this one. My opinion is the money we spent and have a special assessment against David Hughes for all the 97 televisions and 43 lawnmowers and 18 mattresses and the
You
junk
have
and
the
the junk
list?
and the junk and the junk
Just 1 second.
and the junk that was on there, you know, which cost 34, the attorney cost about 15.
21.
The contractor, we got bids for a
21.
contractor, the contractor cost about 15, and other expenses were about
15,700.
5,000. So collectively, it was 35,000, which obviously, and we got court fees from the court thing.
Right.
So our only action we can take is to put a special assessment on his property taxes. So after 4 years go by, his land will go tax forfeit, and he'll be evicted from the property, and the land will go back to the county.
Now,
And
by
then
the way,
whatever
now-
it's sold for, we will get back. The property's not worth $35,000.
Why would you
You
put so
know,
much into it
the
then?
mobile home that's there, it might be worth possibly 20,000. We would recover 80% of that, the county keeps 20% of that on a special assessment. That's where we're at. So, in conclusion, having spent $35,000 on David Hughes, and having a injunction against future behavior, then he's gone on to do future behavior, and the town doesn't have another $35,000 to go after David Hughes for additional zoning violations that we've been over one time. So we're kind of in a stalemate, and seems like the pragmatic way out of it is just to wait for 4 years and the land to go tax forfeit, and then he'll be gone.
You guys stole like 500 pounds of precious.
That's a
metals.
different issue, that's not worth anything here, we didn't steal
Alright,
anything.
it's not-
He had every opportunity to go to court to represent himself and all of those things.
Doesn't make him not a
He
resident.
lost
Could I
his
say
own
something?
info,
Papers,
Right.
you know?
you know,
You know, if I could just say, it's really easy to pass judgment on people, those people over there, I drive by there all the time and stuff, and I'm sure people on four-wheelers do it all the time, and probably, losers, why do they live like this, why do they do that? And do you ever think, and one day I was driving by, and I looked over there and I see this gal, Indian woman out there, trying to warm up at a fire and stuff, and I was thinking, you know what, these people aren't camping. What they're doing is they're living. And do you think for a second they like to live like that?
Surviving.
They're surviving. And why don't you guys consider a little compassion once in a while, instead of going after people
You are-
that can't...
you are-
I have the floor, Bob, excuse me.
No, you don't, the chairman didn't give you the floor.
You don't have to tell him that he don't have the floor. Why are you
So,
telling him he
can I-
don't have the floor? You shut up.
Because-
So here's the deal.
No, you shut
Why-
up. You know, we
why-
did this all night.
Shut up.
That's enough.
You shut up. No,
That's
you
enough.
shut up.
That's enough.
Let's hear what Bernie had to say.
I agree with Bernie.
Well, tell Jan's running the meeting.
Okay, Jan?
Say it quickly, finish what you were trying to say.
Thank you.
I'm done.
Be quiet, that's fine, then that's it.
Ma'am,
People complain about the messes in all these places. We go and try to clean it up, and then we get criticized for cleaning it up. How do we win?
Nice company
Can I
right
ask a
there.
question?
Yes, you may.
What happened if we would say, let's get a 25-yard dumpster and go over there and everybody pitch in?
Why should they do, they'll tell you why should they do that?
They still have to have, we'd still have to have permission from the landowners to do it, and they
Yeah.
don't.
Oh, I agree with that, I'm not disagreeing with that, but I think it would be a little bit easier and cheaper. How much is a dumpster
But he
for
wouldn't.
a week?
Can I answer that?
We didn't even do that, we already
I mean,
did
has
that.
that been ever done?
We had before that,
You know,
the Greg
they
Bloom,
never
I
asked.
think when you came here,
They attacked
Greg
me.
Bloom was gone. We've tried all those options 30 times, Chris.
Okay.
We really
No,
have.
they-
We offered a guy that had that to put a privacy screen like around junkyards. If he would buy the materials, the town would go
If they offer
dig the
help,
fence post,
yeah,
put up the
okay.
wall, and do all the labor for him as a community service
You're
day.
talking about
And he
Greg Bloom?
rejected that offer.
You talking about Greg Bloom?
Yes.
Oh, holy shit, you rake him. You put that 4x4 in sideways. I mean, you didn't even bother
So
with
anyway,
KY.
There's so much history you're
No, I
missing,
know what you
Chris.
guys did.
It would take a 9-hour meeting to explain, we tried this, we tried this, we tried this, we tried this. Believe me.
Chris, I was a supervisor,
all
and I told
gallons
them to
and
give them
gallons of
dumpsters,
water
they
under
wouldn't
the
do
bridge,
it.
so to speak.
They said, why are we
But you
gonna
don't
give
even
them
have the
dumpsters?
awareness of.
That is not the way.
I wanna ask a question. What makes you think that David, and I don't want any hollering on this, just please explain it to me. What makes you think that David would allow people to come on there and try to help him and discard stuff that he wants on his property? That's what this whole thing has been about. He's been
I don't know if
arguing
he
about
would.
the.
I could talk to him for 2 minutes and he would.
I'm not saying.
Well,
I'm
I
not
just-
gotta have the
saying
right
he would, I'm
person
not saying-
approach it.
I don't know personally if he would. I just asked if it ever
Yeah.
was, if we ever tried it.
I just can't imagine how he feels about everything that's come down
Well, I
on him.
mean, yeah, but that's the whole
An
point.
individual-
Instead of
individual
keep
that
burying
has-
him with
He's
stuff.
buried.
You know, why keep burying him? I mean, what's the deal? I
An
mean,
individual that has an illness like he has, it must just be.
And
Yeah,
then these
yeah.
other people that
He
are
has an
living there
illness.
too.
There's a
Oh,
no-win
yeah, but you
situation.
think that they like living
It's
like
not
that?
real down.
That's
It's
You
not-
know, I went into town and I went grocery
That's
shopping.
not a-
Hey,
that's not an
that's
issue
not
that I'm
quiet.
talking about. Whether they want to live like that or not, they are living like that.
Yeah.
And it is, what they have is a situation now, and I'm just saying, you know, it's not just David, you have these other people that are involved with it, it's not taking care of just David's stuff.
But we don't know if them people going in the house, going in the bathroom.
Well,
Well, that's not.
I'm sure
I'm
they're not
even
pooping
talking
all
about
over
it.
the
And then also too, we'd like to see the complaints from the community, that you guys said that there's could be people that have complained. I'd like to see those complaints, because I think that, that they might be just, kinda getting generated, you know?
I wrote up a lot of
And, cause
them.
I don't even understand how you could know he has a straight
Wait a minute, wait a
pipe
minute.
thing
Didn't.
to begin
We
with.
didn't, we didn't know that,
Talk
we don't
about
know that.
complaints and things that have been
These
generated,
guys are attacking.
I think you guys know about that.
Well, we wanna see the
Well, yeah,
recent
but that's what we
complaints
did,
about
we
him.
filled out complaint forms and
Well,
presented to you.
No, I'm not talking about, I'm talking about all this thing, all these rumors, all this bad information that's out there. And it's harming people that it shouldn't be harming.
Well,
What's
there's
that?
people
What
living in
rumors?
RVs. I mean, that's what the
Website.
poop problem is. I mean,
What?
you don't know where they're going to
No,
the bathroom.
that's not cool. I mean, you guys gotta chill out yourselves before we can start helping someone else. We have to fight this every time we come in here.
See, you know what the problem
You're
is?
fighting yourselves.
These
No,
guys-
I'm not fighting myself. I'm not trying to fight with anybody.
See, these guys, every time they've dealt with them, it's been on the attack, it's been with an attorney, and it's.
That's
been-
what people don't like.
been attacked.
But that's what this has come to.
That's the first, that's the
But
first.
no, that's not how, you know, he got letters saying to clean it up.
Did you ever?
A
whole bunch of
did you
people
ever
got
walk up to
letters.
David and say, hey, David, man, you need help.
Here's one question, as far as the
Let's
straight
go back.
pipe sewage system, no, the
We're
straight
getting
pipe
ready
sewage,
to-
no, I wanna ask a
We're
question.
waiting for
The
this.
straight pipe
Answer
sewage
that
system,
one.
Okay, be quiet, just a minute.
this,
Could I answer Tracy just on one?
Just a minute.
You know, let's start like pretty close to the beginning,
No,
okay?
it'd be around 1990, 91.
Somewhere in there.
Discussing this with me.
Well, could I explain
Yeah.
it instead of you talking? You know, I'll give you an example of this. Jerry's brother Roger
I know.
brought an RV up and put it on the property. No building permit. Okay? Everybody knows, you know, whatever you're doing, first you get the permit, and then, you know, if you wanna put up a building, first you get the building permit, and then you get the building. You need a sewer system, first you get the sewer permit, and then you build the sewer. You want a shoreland alteration permit, first you get the permit, then you alter the shoreland. Whatever it is, the permit comes first, the building, so no notice to anybody whatsoever, and they knew all this because we had building permits, it isn't like they just moved into town. So an RV shows up with no building permit. So then I write them a letter to get a building permit, so they get a building permit. You have a year to complete the building permit, and a year goes by and they do nothing to install the RV. So then you're allowed to renew it once, so I wrote them another letter to renew it. So they got another year on this RV to renew it. And then that year came and went, and they still did nothing. So then I said, you know, the RV's gotta go, you know, your building permit's expired, you have to have it has to have tie downs, it has to have skirting. A mobile home, we had that at the time. So then they got another building permit.
was it an RV or a mobile home?
So then they had another year on that building permit. Of course, nothing happened in that year, no skirting, no tie downs. So then, you know, in our ordinance, we had at the time that you can renew, get a 1-year time extension on it. So then they did that, we did that 3 times, 6 years, 3 building permits, 3 renewals, a year each of those, and still nothing. Meanwhile, the thing is so deteriorating that the insulation that's underneath the building is blowing around the town and into people's yards and stuff like that. So finally, we started an action. They had an attorney, a quite expensive attorney. And we went many times to court, and the judge this, the judge that. It's not, once it goes to court, it's out of our hands. We went through that whole process, and then Jerry Hughes, signed an agreement on the final solution for that, and then he failed to do that. He agreed to it, and he failed. No, it's not wrong.
Yes, you are.
That's just baloney.
I was-
So that whole thing took 10 years to codify a simple building permit. They were uncooperative, 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 uncooperative,
Sounds like
uncooperative.
We get it, we get
Sounds
it,
like
How many
man.
meetings last till 10?
'Cause
That's-
I read
That's
that.
baloney.
I read
And how
that
much
before.
does that cost the township to
Hey.
administer?
I'm an educated person,
Curry and
and I
Ruby,
read that.
that's your biggest expenditure.
Curry wasn't even around then. That
Yeah,
was Kevin Hofstad for that
I
case.
read it and they were in compliance with it
You've been
because
doing this
I
with
did the
another
work.
one, huh?
No,
hired
they
me.
weren't.
They hired me, I read the paperwork. I brought the property to compliance and you went and stole
was
David's
not.
house.
Cause
You
then
stole
they
David's
brought
house.
in these windows and they had junk all over the, you know.
You
I mean,
stole
okay,
his
but
house.
I thought that, maybe you could listen to some reality, but apparently you don't want to. You
I'm
can
an
make up
educated
whatever
man.
you want to, Tracy. I was there, I was involved, that's what happened.
I
We
read the
tried and
paperwork.
tried and tried, not once, now we gave them 14 chances
My
to
chances
simply
you
get a building permit. Give me a break.
Give us a break.
Excuse me,
Well, I think 14 chances is kind of called a
That's
break.
enough. All right, that's enough, go ahead.
I just, I know you're concerned about this and have a lot of information on it, and so does, Bob Brewster, but, I mean, was this part of the meeting today? Or is this like, how is this relevant to what's going on?
Because Tracy started that, I asked Jan if I could explain one thing to rebut what Tracy was
Maybe
saying.
you and Tracy could like have a discussion.
Sure, that would be wonderful
I mean,
too.
then maybe you could come to an understanding.
There-
I mean, it just doesn't, I don't, unless I'm wrong.
The felonies that these guys could have committed on us
I've,
is wrong, that's why
I've heard, but
it's like this nowadays.
I understand.
they don't talk to them right.
I understand that, but for right now, I think this is why the meetings go forever, because,
But you see, in the beginning, people are given letters. They're given letters saying that this is what needs to be done, this is how, and they don't cooperate.
Why don't you just invite them to the board, like I've been
They-
telling you,
they've
invite
never
them to the
been-
board.
They were never told they couldn't come.
Invite them, why don't you,
They
instead
were.
of hostile, be cordial.
No.
Tell
They
them to
were
come on
invited.
in. we
Every
can
letter
talk
I
about
sent
it.
out invites them to come to a board meeting.
Every letter Curry sent out.
No,
This is
That's why they don't like you.
no, Bob,
I've got all
They-
that,
Todd, shut up now.
I mean, I have all the evidence on it.
Todd, that's
Explain how the letters go.
Letters go out
The cops are
from in the beginning.
armed robbery.
Well, like I say, I never got any letters, and you never asked me to come to one town board meeting or anything, when you put me through that whole fiasco.
You were asked to come to the town board.
No, I delivered
And
it
the
never
sheriff
was.
Your door,
on the road.
Bernie.
Asked you could come to the town board meeting. Your response was to me, I will not move that, I will take you to the Supreme Court before I move that camper.
Well, there's the man right there.
There he is.
Oh, you can hand out the other one, Jan.
And hand out the other one.
The other what? Well, hand out what, Bob?
So they're going after you again, Dave.